Victor Romano didn't believe in coincidence. So when the trembling accountant in the too big dress stumbled into him outside his own bedroom, spilling champagne down his Tom Ford suit, he knew something had shifted. She apologized 7 times in 30 seconds, eyes wide with terror. Not because she recognized him, but because she'd ruined expensive fabric. Everyone else feared his name. She feared dry cleaning bills. In a world built on calculated moves and bloody power plays, Lily Bennett was the first real thing he'd touched in years. And Victor Romano never let go of what was his. If you want to see how a mafia boss falls for the one woman who never wanted his world, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The Belmont estate didn't just announce wealth, it screamed it from every marble column and crystal chandelier. Lily Bennett stood near a towering ice sculpture of a swan, clutching her small purse like a shield, wondering for the 100th time why she'd let her mother guilt her into attending her cousin Vanessa's engagement party. Just go, Lily. Show your face. You can't hide in your apartment with spreadsheets forever. Except spreadsheets made sense. Numbers didn't judge you for wearing a discount dress or having flyaway hair that refused to cooperate with bobby pins. Numbers didn't whisper behind their hands when you walked past. Vanessa's crowd did both. Is that really Lily? Someone murmured near the champagne fountain. I almost didn't recognize her without her calculator. Polite laughter followed. Lily pretended not to hear, focusing instead on the architectural details of the ballroom. Safer that way. The mansion belonged to some business magnate. Vanessa had mentioned the name with breathy excitement, but Lily hadn't retained it. She was too busy calculating how soon she could leave without causing a family incident. Her mother's text earlier had been clear. Stay at least 2 hours. Smile. Don't embarrass me. Lily checked her phone. 43 minutes down. 77 to go. You look lost. Lily startled, nearly dropping her untouched champagne flute. A woman in a blood-red dress stood beside her, perfect lips curved in something that wasn't quite friendly. Oh, I'm just waiting for my cousin, Lily stammered. The bride-to-be. Vanessa? The woman's smile sharpened. She's holding court by the terrace. 3rd glass of Dom Perignon, if you're counting. Lily wasn't, but the woman's tone suggested she should be. I'm Elena, the woman continued, looking Lily up and down with unconcealed assessment. I don't think we've met. Lily, I'm family. Sort of. Distant cousin. Ah. Elena's interest visibly cooled. Well, enjoy the party. She glided away, leaving Lily feeling exactly as out of place as when she'd arrived. The ballroom was suffocating. Too many people in too expensive clothes, wearing too bright smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Lily edged toward the hallway she'd spotted earlier, desperate for space to breathe. The corridor was blissfully empty. Soft lighting, thick carpet that muffled footsteps, framed paintings Lily suspected were originals. She walked slowly, letting the quiet settle her nerves. You planning to steal something, or just looking for the bathroom? Lily whirled around so fast she stumbled, champagne sloshing over the rim of her glass, right onto the chest of a man who'd appeared from a side door without making a sound. Oh my, I'm so sorry! Lily grabbed for her small clutch, as if tissues materialized from panic. I was just trying to find somewhere quiet. I didn't mean to... Breathe, the man said. Lily stopped babbling, looked up, and forgot how words worked. He was tall, taller than anyone should be while standing that still. Dark hair pushed back from a face that belonged in marble, all sharp angles and controlled power. His suit probably cost more than her annual salary. The champagne had left a dark stain spreading across his jacket. I'm so sorry, Lily repeated, quieter now. I'll pay for the cleaning, or replacement. I don't know how much, but I can save up. I just need to know. How much do you think this suit costs? Lily's throat went dry. I don't know. A lot? Try again. 2,000? She winced. 3? Something flickered in his dark eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or annoyance. Lily couldn't tell which terrified her more. Tom Ford Custom. About 8,000. The hallway tilted slightly. $8,000. That was 4 months of rent. That was her entire emergency fund, and then some. I'll set up a payment plan, Lily heard herself say. Monthly installments. I'm very responsible with money, actually. I'm an accountant. Well, junior accountant. But I'm good with budgets and... What's your name? The question cut through her rambling. Lily. Lily Bennett. And what are you doing here, Lily Bennett? My cousin's getting engaged. Vanessa Chen, we're family, distantly. She was talking too much again. I didn't want to come, actually, but my mother said I had to, and Vanessa would be upset if I didn't show, even though we haven't spoken in 3 years, and you always answer questions with your entire life story? Lily's cheeks burned. Sorry, I do that when I'm nervous. What are you nervous about? You're very tall, and I just ruined an $8,000 suit, and you're blocking the only exit I know. That definitely was amusement in his eyes now. The bathroom's that way. He gestured behind him. You weren't lost. You were hiding. It wasn't a question, but Lily answered anyway. Yes. From the party? From everything. The honesty surprised her. She never admitted things like that, especially to strangers who looked like they could buy and sell her apartment building without checking their bank balance. The man studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, his mouth curved into something almost like a smile. I'm Victor. Hi, Victor. Lily clutched her purse tighter. Again, I'm really sorry about your suit. Forget the suit. He stepped aside, no longer blocking her path. Go back to your hiding. Lily should have thanked him and fled. Instead, she found herself asking, Are you hiding too? Victor's expression shifted, just barely, but Lily had spent years reading people's micro-expressions in tense financial meetings. She caught it. Maybe, he said. From what? The party, the people, the performance. Lily understood that more than he could know. It's exhausting, isn't it? Pretending to be someone you're not. Victor looked at her differently then, like she'd said something that mattered, though Lily couldn't imagine what. She was nobody, just the awkward cousin in the cheap dress who couldn't make small talk without apologizing. You should go, Victor said, but his tone had changed, softer, almost reluctant. Right. Yes. Of course. Lily started past him, then paused. Thank you. For not being mean about the champagne. Most people are mean to you? The question caught her off guard. Not mean, just dismissive. That's worse, Lily blinked. Yes, it is. They stood in the hallway, two people who should have nothing in common, understanding each other perfectly for one strange moment. Then someone called from the ballroom, a woman's sharp voice saying a name Lily didn't catch. And Victor's entire demeanor changed. The almost smile vanished. His shoulders squared. The man who'd seemed almost approachable became something else entirely. Something harder, colder, untouchable. Go, he said again, and this time it wasn't a suggestion. Lily went. She made it back to the ballroom on shaking legs, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. She didn't understand what had just happened, didn't understand why a stranger's unexpected kindness felt like the first real conversation she'd had in months. There you are! Vanessa materialized in a cloud of Chanel No. 5 and champagne confidence. I've been looking everywhere. Come meet Derek's family. They're dying to meet all my cousins. Lily seriously doubted that, but she let herself be dragged across the ballroom anyway. Vanessa was already 3 glasses deep and in full performance mode, laughing too loud and touching everyone's arm like they were all intimate friends. Derek's family turns out to be exactly what Lily expected. Wealthy, polished, and utterly uninterested in a junior accountant from Brooklyn. She smiled, nodded, answered questions about her work with the kind of vague enthusiasm that satisfied people who weren't really listening. But her mind kept drifting back to the hallway, to dark eyes and an almost smile, to the way Victor had looked at her like she was worth paying attention to, even covered in embarrassment and cheap fabric. She was being ridiculous. He was probably the estate manager or something. Someone used to dealing with awkward guests who wandered into restricted areas. That's all it was. Except it hadn't felt like that. Lily, are you even listening? Vanessa was staring at her, champagne glass tilted dangerously. Sorry. Yes. Congratulations again. I was saying you should meet Victor. Where did he go? Vanessa craned her neck, scanning the crowd. He owns this place. Well, not just this place. He owns half of everything, basically. Very mysterious, very private. But he's here tonight, which is like a huge deal. The floor dropped out from under Lily's feet. Victor? She repeated carefully. Victor Romano. You've heard of him, right? Lily definitely hadn't, but from Vanessa's breathless tone and the way several people nearby had turned at the name, she gathered she should have. Is he... What does he do? Vanessa's laugh was sharp. What doesn't he do? Import-export, real estate, private equity? People say he's connected to, well, the kind of businesses you don't ask too many questions about. Lily's stomach twisted. He's here? She asked weakly. Somewhere. He never stays at his own parties for long. Too important. Vanessa leaned in, voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. Elena's been trying to get his attention all night. Good luck to her. Victor Romano doesn't date, he acquires. The champagne Lily had barely sipped suddenly felt like acid in her throat. She'd just dumped champagne on a mafia boss. Or someone close enough to make no difference, and she'd offered to pay him in installments, like he couldn't buy her entire building with the cash in his wallet. I need some air, Lily managed. You just got back from wherever you disappeared to. I need more air. She fled before Vanessa could stop her, pushing through the crowd toward the terrace doors. The night air hit her face like a slap, cold and sobering. What had she been thinking, talking to him like that? Rambling about being nervous and hiding from parties? She'd probably sounded like an idiot. Worse than an idiot, she'd sounded pathetic. You keep running away. Lily spun around. Victor stood in the terrace doorway, jacket gone, sleeves rolled to his elbows. The champagne stain was darker now, obvious against the white shirt. I didn't know who you were, Lily blurted out. Does it matter? You own this house, this party, probably this entire zip code. So? So I poured champagne on you and offered you a payment plan like you're some regular person who needs $47 a month. Victor's mouth twitched. 47 specifically? That's what I could manage, after rent and utilities and student loans and groceries and... She stopped. I'm doing it again. The life story thing? Yes. He walked closer, stopping a careful distance away. Close enough to talk without the party overhearing, far enough that Lily didn't feel trapped. I liked it, Victor said. The payment plan. It's the first honest thing anyone's said to me in months. I'm always honest. I'm terrible at lying. I can tell. Lily didn't know what to do with that. With any of this, she should leave, go back inside, find Vanessa, make her excuses, and leave. Go home to her studio apartment and her cat and her spreadsheets where everything made sense. But she didn't move. Neither did Victor. Your cousin's about to cut the cake, he said eventually. They'll notice if you're not there. Will they? No, probably not. Lily surprised herself by laughing. It came out shaky, but real. Victor's expression shifted again, that same look from the hallway, like she'd done something unexpected, something that mattered. You should stay away from me, he said, and it sounded like a warning. Why? Because I'm not a good man, Lily Bennett. The way he said her full name did something strange to her pulse. I don't know you well enough to judge that, Lily said carefully. Smart girl. But you haven't been mean to me. That counts for something. The bar's that low? You'd be surprised how many people can't clear it. Victor studied her like she was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. Lily knew that look. She got it from her boss, from her mother, from Vanessa. The what am I supposed to do with you expression. Except Victor's version didn't feel dismissive. It felt curious. Go back inside, he said quietly, before someone comes looking. Will you? Eventually, Lily nodded, started toward the door, stopped. Thank you, she said, for talking to me, like I'm real. She didn't wait for his response, didn't trust herself not to say something else stupid and revealing. She slipped back into the party, into the noise and the performance and the crushing awareness that she'd just had 2 conversations with a dangerous man and felt more seen than she had in years. The rest of the party blurred. Cake, speeches, more champagne Lily didn't drink, Vanessa's drunk proclamation that everyone should dance, Derek's father talking loudly about market trends, Elena watching the terrace doors with sharp, angry eyes. Lily lasted another hour, exactly enough to satisfy her mother's requirements, then called a rideshare and fled. The Brooklyn night felt real in a way the party hadn't. Street noise, the subway rumbling somewhere below, her building's familiar cracked steps, her neighbor's dog barking through thin walls, her cat Pepper meowed indignantly when she came through the door. I know. I'm late with dinner. Lily dropped her purse on the tiny kitchen counter. You wouldn't believe the night I had. Pepper didn't care. Pepper wanted food. Lily fed her, changed into pajamas, scrubbed off the makeup she'd applied so carefully. stared at herself in the bathroom mirror. She looked the same. Mousy brown hair, unremarkable features, the kind of face that blended into crowds, except for her eyes. They looked different, brighter, almost feverish. "You're being ridiculous," she told her reflection. "He was just being polite, that's all." Her phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Where did you go?" "Derek's uncle wanted to talk to you about tax stuff, lol." Lily didn't respond. She climbed into bed, pepper curling against her feet, and tried not to think about dark eyes and an almost smile and the way Victor Romano had looked at her like she mattered. She failed completely. Monday morning arrived with its usual brutal efficiency. Lily's alarm went off at 6:30. She showered, dressed in one of her 5 acceptable work outfits, made coffee that tasted like burnt regret, and caught the train to Manhattan. Chen and Associates occupied the 14th floor of a building that had been modern in 1987. Lily's desk sat in the corner of the shared junior accountant space, close enough to the window to pretend she had a view, far enough from the good coffee maker to be annoying. "Morning, Lily." Marcus from Receivables nodded at her without slowing down. Lily nodded back. They'd worked together for 3 years and had never had a conversation longer than 2 sentences. She booted up her computer, checked her email. 73 new messages since Friday. She started sorting them by priority, falling into the familiar rhythm of numbers and deadlines and problems other people needed her to solve. At lunch, she ate a salad from the deli downstairs at her desk, scrolled through social media without posting anything, saw that Vanessa had uploaded 47 photos from the engagement party. Lily appeared in exactly 3 of them, always in the background, always mid-blink or mid-awkward expression. Except one. She'd been standing on the terrace, turned towards someone out of frame. The lighting was soft. Her expression was different, open, almost hopeful. She'd been looking at Victor, right before he'd warned her to stay away. Lily closed the app. The afternoon dragged. Budget reconciliation, client calls. A tense meeting about a payroll discrepancy that wasn't Lily's fault but somehow became her problem to fix. By 5:30, her eyes burned from staring at spreadsheets. She saved her work, shut down her computer, and headed for the elevator. "Lily Bennett?" She turned. A man stood by the reception desk. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of face you forgot immediately. "Yes?" "Mr. Romano would like a moment of your time." The floor tilted. "I'm sorry, what?" "There's a car outside. If you'd please come with me." Lily's heart hammered. "I don't understand. Why would—" "I'm simply extending an invitation, Ms. Bennett. You're free to decline." Except it didn't feel like a decline was really an option. Not with the way this man stood between her and the elevator. Not with how her coworkers had suddenly gone very quiet, pretending not to listen. Lily thought about Victor's warning, about Vanessa's knowing tone when she'd mentioned the kind of businesses you don't ask questions about. She should say no. Go home. Forget Saturday night ever happened. But her mouth said, "Okay." The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "This way, please." The car waiting outside was exactly what Lily expected. Black, sleek, windows tinted dark enough to hide anything. The man opened the door. Lily got in before her common sense could stop her. The interior smelled like leather and money. Victor sat across from her, looking exactly as dangerous as Vanessa had implied, and nothing like the man who'd almost smiled in a quiet hallway. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Did I have a choice?" "Yes." Lily believed him, which somehow made this worse. She could have said no. She'd chosen to get in the car. "Why am I here?" she asked. "I wanted to see you again." "You could have called." "I don't have your number." "You knew where I worked." "I know a lot of things, Lily." The way he said her name, just Lily, not the full version, made something tighten in her chest. "That's unsettling," she said honestly. "I know. Are you trying to scare me? Are you scared?" Lily considered lying, decided against it. A little, but more confused than scared. Victor's expression shifted microscopically. "I make you nervous." "You make everyone nervous. I assume that's intentional." "With you, I'd prefer not to." The confession hung between them, unexpected and raw. Lily didn't know what to say to that, didn't know what to do with the way he was looking at her, like she was a problem he couldn't solve, a variable that didn't fit into his equations. The car pulled away from the curb, sliding into Manhattan traffic. "Where are we going?" Lily asked. "Dinner." "I didn't agree to dinner." "Then drinks." don't drink much. Coffee? I've had too much coffee today already. Victor's mouth curved, almost. What do you want then? The question felt bigger than it should. Lily thought about her studio apartment, her cat, her spreadsheets, the way she'd felt invisible at Vanessa's party until a stranger had looked at her like she was real. Answers, she said. I want to know why a man like you cares about a junior accountant who can't afford to replace your suit. Because you're the first person in years who's talked to me like I'm human. You are human. Most people would debate that. Lily held his gaze. Most people are cowards. Something flashed in Victor's eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. Like he'd been waiting for her to say exactly that. Have dinner with me, he said. 1 hour. After that, I'll take you home. No strings, no obligations. And if I say no, I take you home now. Lily knew she should say no. Knew nothing good came from getting involved with men who sent cars to your workplace and knew things they shouldn't know. But she'd spent her entire life being careful, being small, being forgettable. And Victor Romano looked at her like she was worth remembering. 1 hour, Lily said. Victor's smile was real this time. Small, but genuine. 1 hour, he agreed. The car turned toward a part of Manhattan Lily rarely visited, where the buildings were taller, the streets cleaner, the people more beautiful. They stopped in front of a restaurant Lily had read about but never imagined entering, the kind of place where reservations took months and the waitstaff knew your name. Victor led her inside without checking in. The maitre d' simply nodded and guided them to a private corner table, away from curious eyes. Lily sat down feeling every inch of her discount work clothes and worn shoes. You're uncomfortable, Victor observed. I'm out of my depth. Good. So am I. Lily blinked. How could you possibly... I don't do this, Victor interrupted. Dinners, conversations, any of it. Then why... You. That's why. The honesty was almost brutal. Lily didn't know where to look, what to say, how to process the idea that this man, this powerful, dangerous, untouchable man, was as uncertain as she was. A waiter appeared, took their order without writing anything down, and vanished again. Tell me something true, Victor said. About what? Anything. Lily twisted her napkin. I hate parties. I hate small talk. I'm bad at pretending to be someone I'm not. But I keep trying anyway because that's what people want. What do you want? The question again, bigger this time, heavier. I want people to stop looking through me, Lily said quietly, like I'm furniture, background noise, the cousin you invite out of obligation and forget about 5 minutes later. Victor's jaw tightened. They're idiots. They're normal. I'm the one who doesn't fit. Maybe normal's overrated. Lily looked up. Found him watching her with an intensity that should have been frightening, but instead felt like being seen through glass. Your turn, she said. Tell me something true. Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't remember the last time I felt anything real, until Saturday night, when you apologized 7 times for champagne and offered me $47 a month. Lily's breath caught. That's not much of a foundation for whatever this is. No, it's not. So why am I here? Because I want to know what happens next, and I never want anything. The food arrived. Dishes Lily couldn't pronounce but tasted like something close to art. They ate. They talked. Not about work or family or the dangerous gaps in Victor's legitimate business ventures. They talked about small things, real things, books they'd read, places they wanted to visit, the way New York felt different at 3 a.m, whether cats were better than dogs. Lily said cats. Victor stayed neutral, which felt like agreement. 1 hour stretched into 2, then 3. Lily forgot to be nervous, forgot to monitor her words, forgot that she was sitting across from a man who could probably end her with a phone call. She just talked, and he listened like every word mattered. When the restaurant started closing down around them, Victor walked her back to the car. The city had gone quiet, the brief pause between late-night chaos and early morning rush. I should take you home, Victor said, but he didn't move. Neither did Lily. They stood on the sidewalk, 2 people who shouldn't make sense, but somehow did. Thank you, Lily said, for tonight. Thank you for saying yes. I'm still not sure why I did. Neither am I, but I'm glad you did. The car door was open. Lily should get in. This should be the end, a strange evening, a memory to revisit when her life felt too predictable. Instead, she heard herself ask, "Will I see you again?" Victor's expression was unreadable. "Do you want to?" "I don't know what I want." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." Victor stepped closer, not crowding her, just closer. Near enough that Lily could see the exact shade of his eyes, smell whatever expensive cologne he wore, feel the pull of him like gravity. "Figure it out," he said quietly, "and when you do, let me know." Then he stepped back, gave her space to breathe, to think, to run if she wanted. Lily got in the car. She watched through the window as Victor stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching her drive away. He didn't move until she turned the corner and he disappeared from view. Lily leaned back against the leather seat, heart racing, mind spinning. She'd just had dinner with a man who was probably connected to organized crime, who'd sent a car to her workplace, who'd somehow found out where she worked without her telling him. She should be terrified. Instead, she was thinking about the way he'd listened to her talk about spreadsheets like they were the most fascinating thing in the world, the way he'd smiled, really smiled, when she'd admitted she named her cat after a seasoning because it seemed funny at the time, the way he'd looked at her like she was someone worth knowing. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "I hope $47 a month includes interest." V. Lily's laugh startled the driver. She typed back, "Depends on the rate. I'll need to see the terms in writing." 3 dots appeared. Then, "I'll have my lawyers draft something." Lily stared at the message, trying to decide if he was serious. Another text came through. "That was a joke," followed immediately by, "Mostly." Lily smiled despite herself. Despite everything. "Good night, Victor. Good night, Lily." She tucked her phone away and watched Brooklyn approach through the tinted windows. Her ordinary building, her ordinary life. Everything exactly as she'd left it this morning. Except she wasn't the same person who'd left. Something had shifted. Something had changed. And Lily Bennett, who always played it safe, who never took risks, who lived her life in careful, calculated steps. She wanted to see what happened next, even if it terrified her, especially if it did. The text started small. "Careful. How's your morning?" Victor would ask around 10, when Lily was usually 3 spreadsheets deep and questioning her life choices. Caffeinated and confused, she'd reply, "You?" About the same. It became a pattern. Nothing heavy. Nothing that required more than she could give. Just small glimpses into each other's days, trading observations about mundane things that somehow didn't feel mundane when shared. A week passed. Then 2. Lily kept expecting the novelty to wear off, for Victor to remember he was a powerful man with better things to do than text a junior accountant about her cat's vendetta against the bathroom rug. But he didn't stop. If anything, the messages became more frequent. Pepper destroyed another hair tie. Lily texted one Thursday afternoon, attaching a photo of the evidence scattered across her floor. She has expensive taste. Those were designer. Lily squinted at her phone. They're from the bodega. 3 for $1. My mistake. Clearly counterfeit designer. She was smiling at her desk like an idiot when Marcus walked past with his perpetual coffee cup. "You okay, Bennett?" he asked without real interest. "Fine. Great. Totally normal." Marcus nodded and kept walking, already forgetting the interaction. Lily's phone buzzed again. "Dinner tomorrow?" Real question this time, not a kidnapping. Her heart did something complicated. They'd texted constantly but hadn't seen each other since that first dinner. Lily had told herself it was better that way. Safer to keep whatever this was contained to screens and careful distance. But she was tired of safe. "Okay," she typed. Then, because honesty seemed important with Victor, "I'm nervous." "So am I." "You're never nervous." "I'm excellent at hiding it." Lily bit her lip, then typed, "What are you nervous about?" The response took longer this time. When it came, it was just 3 words. "Disappointing you." Lily stared at her phone, something warm and terrifying unfurling in her chest. A man like Victor Romano, who commanded rooms and probably lives, was nervous about disappointing her. It didn't make sense. Nothing about this made sense. "You haven't yet," she replied. "Give it time." Lily didn't know what to say to that, so she sent a cat emoji and got back to work. But her hands shook slightly on the keyboard, and her spreadsheet needed 3 corrections she normally wouldn't miss. The next evening, the same black car appeared outside her building. Lily had changed clothes 4 times, settling finally on a blue dress that wasn't too fancy but didn't scream, "I own 7 versions of the same cardigan." She'd even attempted something with her hair beyond the usual ponytail. Pepper had watched the entire production with judgmental green eyes. "Don't look at me like that," Lily told her. "I'm allowed to make questionable choices." Pepper meowed, which Lily chose to interpret as support. The driver opened the door without comment. Lily slid into the familiar leather interior, and there was Victor, suit slightly less severe than last time, expression slightly less guarded. "Hi," Lily said, immediately feeling stupid. Who said hi like that? Like they were meeting for coffee, not being driven to some undisclosed location by a man who probably had people for everything, including disposing of bodies. She needed to stop watching crime dramas. "Hi," Victor said back, and somehow it didn't sound stupid when he said it. They looked at each other for a beat too long. Lily broke first, glancing away. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere quieter than last time, if that's okay." "Define quiet." "My place." Lily's brain screeched to a halt. "Your place?" "I have a chef. And privacy. But if you're not comfortable..." "No, Lily took a breath. "I trust you." The words surprised them both. Victor's expression did something she couldn't read. "You shouldn't." "Probably not, but I do anyway." "Why?" Lily considered the question seriously. "Because you've had plenty of opportunities to be something other than honest with me, and you haven't taken them. You could have pretended to be someone normal, someone safe, but you keep warning me off instead. And you keep ignoring the warnings. I'm bad at self-preservation." "No, you're not. You're careful about everything. I've watched you triple-check crosswalks." Lily flushed. "You've been watching me cross streets? I notice things about you. That's borderline creepy." "I know. You're supposed to deny it." "I don't lie to you, Lily." There it was again. Her name in his voice, doing things to her pulse that spreadsheets definitely didn't. The car climbed into a part of Manhattan where buildings touched clouds and doormen wore better suits than most executives. They pulled into an underground garage, all concrete and shadows, and the kind of security that didn't advertise itself but was definitely there. Victor led her to a private elevator. It required a key card and a fingerprint scan. "Subtle," Lily murmured. "I value my privacy." "I'm starting to understand why." The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that redefined Lily's understanding of excessive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city like a living painting, furniture that probably cost more than her student loans. Art on the walls that looked museum quality because it probably was. But it felt empty, beautiful and cold and utterly impersonal. "This is where you live?" Lily asked. "Technically, but not really." Victor's jaw tightened. "I'm not here often. It's more of a showroom," Lily finished. "Like the party, something for other people to see." "Yes." "Where do you actually live?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. He studied her for a long moment, then made a decision. "Come on." He led her through the penthouse to a door she'd assumed was a closet. It opened onto a staircase, narrow, plain, nothing like the opulent space they'd just left. They climbed to a smaller floor above, and Victor unlocked another door. The space beyond was completely different. Still expensive, but lived in. Books on shelves actually read, their spines creased. A laptop open on a desk with coffee rings on the surface. Photographs. Not staged art pieces, but actual personal photos in simple frames. "This is where you live," Lily said softly. "No one else knows about this floor, my security team maybe. But no one He trailed off. "No one you what?" "Invite to dinner." Lily turned to look at him. "Why are you showing me?" "Because you asked where I actually live, and I don't want to lie to you." The honesty was brutal in its simplicity. Lily didn't know what to do with it, with the weight of being trusted by someone who clearly trusted no one. "Thank you," she said. Victor nodded once, then cleared his throat. "The chef prepared dinner. We can eat on the terrace. There's a private one up here. Or inside if you prefer." "Terrace sounds nice." He led her through glass doors onto a space that made her breath catch. Plants everywhere. Real ones, growing in careful disorder. Soft lighting. A table set for 2 with actual candles, not the pretentious kind, but simple white ones that flickered in the evening breeze. "You have a garden," Lily said, touching the leaves of something that might have been basil. "I like growing things. It's..." Victor paused, looking almost embarrassed. Quiet. You keep saying that. Quiet. It's rare in my life. What's loud? Everything else. Lily understood that more than he knew. They sat down, and staff appeared briefly, setting dishes, pouring wine, vanishing before Lily could feel too observed. The food was incredible, but she barely tasted it. She was too busy watching Victor, noticing the small ways he relaxed when they were alone, how his shoulders dropped, how his hands unclenched, how he actually smiled without calculation behind it. "Tell me about your family," Lily said. Victor's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "Why?" "Because I told you about mine." "Seems fair." "Your family sounds complicated but loving. Mine is just complicated." "Try me." Victor set down his fork. "My father built an empire on blood and fear. My mother looked the other way because the alternative was unthinkable. I was raised to inherit both, the empire and the looking away." "And did you inherit it?" "Parts of it, the ones I couldn't dismantle without starting a war." Lily processed that carefully. "You're trying to get out." "I'm trying to transition into something that doesn't require bodies in its foundation. It's slow, dangerous. Most days I think it's impossible. But you keep trying. What else is there?" Lily reached across the table before she could second-guess herself, touched his hand, just her fingers against his knuckles, the smallest point of contact. Victor went completely still. "There's this," Lily said quietly. "People who see you trying, who don't need you to be perfect or powerful or anything except honest." "I'm not good at honest." "You're better than you think." Victor turned his hand over, catching her fingers in his. His grip was careful, like she was something breakable. Maybe she was. Maybe they both were. "You scare me," he admitted. "I'm the least scary person alive. I apologize to furniture I bump into." "That's why you scare me." "You're good. Actually good. And I don't know what to do with that." Lily's heart was doing that complicated thing again. "You're not as bad as you think you are. You don't know what I've done." "No. But I know you're trying to do better. That counts for something." "Does it?" "It does to me, too." They sat there under the candlelight, hands linked across the table, the city sprawling below them like a secret only they could see. Lily knew she should be afraid, should pull away, should protect herself from whatever this was becoming. But Victor was looking at her like she'd handed him something precious, something he didn't know how to hold without breaking. And Lily realized with startling clarity that she wanted to be that for him, the thing he was afraid to break, the person worth being careful with. "Stay," Victor said. Not quite a question, not quite a command, something in between. "For dinner?" "For longer, if you want." Lily should say no, should go home to her cat and her safe, predictable life, should remember that men like Victor Romano didn't date junior accountants from Brooklyn. They acquired things, used them, moved on. Except Victor wasn't looking at her like an acquisition. He was looking at her like salvation. "Okay," Lily whispered. They finished dinner slowly, trading stories that mattered and ones that didn't. Victor told her about learning to garden from his grandmother, the only member of his family who'd been kind without agenda. Lily told him about the time she'd accidentally filed the wrong tax return and had spent 3 days convinced the IRS was going to arrest her personally. "They don't arrest people for honest mistakes," Victor said, smiling. "You don't know that. They could have a special division, the spreadsheet police." "I'm relatively certain that's not a thing." "You can't prove it." Victor's laugh was real and unguarded, and Lily filed the sound away in her memory like something precious. Later they moved inside. Victor put on music, something classical Lily didn't recognize but found unexpectedly soothing. They sat on his couch, a careful distance between them, both hyper-aware of the space and the not touching. "Can I ask you something?" Lily said. "Always." "Why me? Really? There are thousands of women in New York who are more everything. More interesting, more sophisticated, more... You think I want sophistication? Don't you? I'm surrounded by sophistication, by performance. Everyone I meet wants something from me. Power, money, access, protection. They see what I can give them and shape themselves around it." Victor shifted to face her fully. "You spilled champagne on me and offered to pay me back in installments. You didn't know who I was. Didn't want anything except to not be an inconvenience. Do you have any idea how rare that is? I'm not that special." You are to me. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning Lily wasn't sure she could carry. I'm going to disappoint you, she said. Eventually. I'm not exciting or brave or any of the things you probably need. What do you think I need? Someone who fits in your world. I don't want my world. I want out of it. Then what do you want? Victor reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch impossibly gentle. Something real, he said. Someone who doesn't perform, who doesn't calculate every word, someone who apologizes to furniture and names their cat after seasoning and texts me about spreadsheets like they're the most important thing in the universe. They're very important spreadsheets. I know they are. Lily's breath caught. Victor, you can say no to all of this, to me. I'll take you home right now if you want. No hard feelings, no consequences. And if I don't want to say no, then tell me what you want. Because I'm trying very hard not to assume, not to take more than you're willing to give. Lily thought about her safe life, her predictable routines, the way she'd felt invisible for so long she'd stopped expecting anything different. Then she thought about Victor's texts making her smile at her desk, about the way he listened when she talked, like every word mattered, about how he'd shown her his real space, his private garden, the parts of himself he didn't share with anyone. I want to stop being afraid, she said, of this, of you, of feeling something that might hurt later. I can't promise it won't hurt. I know, but maybe it's worth it anyway. Victor's expression did something that looked almost like hope. Yeah? Yeah. He leaned in slowly, giving her time, giving her choice. Lily closed the distance herself, pressing her lips to his in a kiss that started careful and became something else entirely. Something hungry. Something real. Victor's hand cupped her face like she was precious, like she was breakable, like she was worth every ounce of careful he possessed. And Lily, who'd spent her life being overlooked, felt seen down to her bones. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Victor rested his forehead against hers. Stay tonight, he said. Just sleep. Nothing else. I just want you close. Lily knew she should think about it more, should weigh consequences and calculate risks and be smart about this. Instead, she said, okay. They fell asleep on Victor's couch, tangled together in a way that should have been uncomfortable, but wasn't. Lily fit against his chest like she'd been designed for exactly that space. Victor's arms wrapped around her like she was something worth protecting. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Lily felt safe. She woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows in momentary panic. Then she remembered where she was, who she was with. Victor was still asleep, his face softer without consciousness guarding it. Lily studied him in the early light, memorizing the details. The scar near his left eyebrow, the gray threading through his hair at the temples, the way his jaw clenched even in sleep, like he couldn't fully let go. His eyes opened, finding her immediately. Hi, Lily whispered. Hi. His voice was rough with sleep. You stayed. You asked me to. I know. I just didn't expect you to actually do it. Why not? Because most people run when they see the real parts. The messy parts. Lily touched his face gently. I like the messy parts. Victor caught her hand, pressed a kiss to her palm. The gesture was so unexpectedly tender that Lily's throat tightened. I have to go to work, she said reluctantly. Call in sick. I can't just, one day, spend it with me. Lily should say no, should be responsible, should remember that she had budgets to reconcile and clients expecting reports, but Victor was looking at her like she was the only thing that mattered, and Lily was tired of choosing responsibility over living. Okay, she said. Victor's smile was blinding. They spent the day in his private space, away from the world. Victor made breakfast, actual cooking, not just heating things up, and Lily learned he was surprisingly competent with an omelet pan. Hidden talents, she teased. My grandmother insisted I learn, said a man who couldn't feed himself wasn't a man. Smart woman. She was the best of us. They ate on the terrace among the plants. Lily asked about each one, and Victor explained their care with the same intensity he probably applied to business dealings. It was oddly endearing, watching him talk about optimal sunlight for Basil, like it was a matter of life and death. You really love this, Lily observed. It's the one thing I control completely. No politics, no violence, just me and the plants and whether they thrive or die based on what I do. Heavy metaphor there. I'm aware. Lily smiled. Do they usually thrive? More often than not. That's something then. Victor looked at her over his coffee cup. Yeah, it is. The day unfolded in slow, perfect moments. They talked, they kissed, they existed in each other's space without pressure or performance. Victor showed her his books, an eclectic collection that ranged from philosophy to thriller novels to gardening manuals. Lily curled up in his reading chair and started one while he worked on his laptop nearby. It felt domestic, normal, like they were any couple spending a lazy Saturday together instead of a mafia boss and an accountant bridging worlds that should never touch. What are you thinking? Victor asked, looking up from his screen. That this feels normal, in a good way. Does it scare you? A little? Should it? Probably. Lily set down her book. Victor, what are we doing, really? He closed his laptop. What do you want to be doing? I don't know. I've never done anything like this before. Neither have I. You've dated. I've had arrangements, transactions. This isn't that. Then what is it? Victor came to kneel in front of her chair, taking her hands. It's me trying not to ruin the best thing that's happened to me in years. It's me being terrified I'm going to hurt you just by proximity to my life. It's me being selfish enough to try anyway. Lily's heart was pounding. I'm not asking for guarantees. What are you asking for? Honesty, time, a chance to figure this out together. I can give you that. Can you, really? Because I'm starting to care about you, Victor. And if this is just going to end with me as collateral damage, no. The word was fierce. Final. You're not collateral anything. He stopped, struggling with something. I'm what? You're the person I think about when I wake up. The reason I check my phone like a teenager. The first thing that's felt real in longer than I can remember. And if my world touches you wrong, if anyone even looks at you sideways because of me, I'll burn it all down. Lily's breath caught. That's intense. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to do this halfway. I don't think I want you to. Victor's eyes searched hers. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm in. Whatever this is, however complicated it gets, I'm in. The kiss was different this time, desperate, claiming, like they were both acknowledging something too big to name but too real to ignore. When they finally pulled apart, Victor rested his forehead against hers. You're going to regret this, he said. Maybe, but I'd regret not trying more. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Victor's laugh was shaky. Bravest person I know. I'm really not. You're here. With me. Despite everything. That's brave. Lily kissed him again because words felt insufficient. They spent the rest of the day tangled together on his couch, talking and touching and learning each other in ways that had nothing to do with sex and everything to do with intimacy. Lily told him about her father leaving when she was 12. About her mother's quiet disappointment in having a daughter who preferred numbers to people. Victor told her about growing up in a house where love was transactional and safety was negotiable. About the first time he'd seen violence up close and realized his father wasn't a businessman, he was a monster. I swore I'd be different, Victor said. But some days I look in the mirror and see him looking back. You're not your father. How do you know? Because you feel bad about it. Because you're trying. Because you warned me away instead of just taking what you wanted. I still want to take. But you're asking instead. That's the difference. Victor pulled her closer. I don't deserve you. Good thing that's not your call. Evening came, and with it the reality that Lily's one day of playing hooky was ending. She needed to go home, feed Pepper, prepare for work tomorrow, return to normal life. Except normal felt wrong now. Insufficient. I'll have my driver take you, Victor said, clearly hating the words. I can take the subway. Lily. What? Let me take care of you, please. In the ways I can. Lily understood what he wasn't saying, that his world was dangerous, that letting her take the subway felt like leaving her unprotected, that this was how he showed love, through safety and control and making sure nothing touched what was his. Okay, she said softly. Thank you. The car ride back to Brooklyn felt longer than it should have. Lily stared out the window, watching Manhattan give way to her neighborhood with its bodegas and cracked sidewalks in reality. Her phone buzzed. "I miss you already," Victor had texted. "I just left." "I know." Lily smiled despite the ache in her chest. "Same." When she got home, Pepper was furious, yowling, knocking things off counters, generally making her displeasure known. I know. I'm a terrible cat mother." Lily fed her, then collapsed on her bed. Her studio apartment felt smaller than ever, emptier. Her phone rang, Victor's name on the screen. "Hi," she answered. "Hi, I just wanted to hear your voice. You heard it this morning, and all day, and 20 minutes ago. I'm greedy." Lily's chest tightened in the best way. "Tell me about your day." "You were there for my day." "Tell me anyway." So Victor did. He talked about the omelet, about showing her his books, about how she'd fallen asleep reading in his chair and he'd just watched her for 20 minutes like a creep. "That is pretty creepy," Lily said. "I'm aware. Did it anyway." "Why?" "Because you looked peaceful, and I wanted to memorize it." Lily's eyes stung. "You're killing me here. Good killing or bad killing? I haven't decided yet." They talked until Lily's eyes started closing despite herself. Victor noticed before she did. "Sleep," he said gently. "I'll still be here tomorrow." "Promise?" "Promise." Lily hung up and curled around her pillow, Pepper settling against her side. She should feel crazy, should question every choice that led her here. Instead, she felt like maybe, finally, she was doing something right. The next morning came too early. Work, reality. The normal life that suddenly felt like a costume she had to put back on. But there was a text waiting when she woke up. "Good morning. You're beautiful even when you're drooling in your sleep." "I don't drool. You absolutely drool. I have photographic evidence. You took pictures of me sleeping? For blackmail purposes." "You're terrible." "I know." "Coffee?" Lily hesitated. She needed to establish boundaries, needed to maintain some separation between Victor's world and hers, but she wanted to see him, wanted it badly enough that boundaries felt negotiable. "Okay, but somewhere normal. Not a penthouse or a private restaurant. Define normal. You'll see." She gave him the address of her favorite coffee shop, a tiny place near her apartment that served decent espresso and didn't care if you sat for hours with one cup. It was the opposite of Victor's world, loud, crowded, real. Lily got there first, claiming their last available table. She ordered her usual and waited, watching the door. Victor walked in 10 minutes later, and everything went quiet. Not literally. The coffee shop was still noisy, still full of people living their lives, but Lily's entire world narrowed to him, suit slightly less severe, expression uncertain, looking completely out of place among the students and freelancers and regular people. He spotted her, smiled, and suddenly he didn't look out of place at all. "Hi," Victor said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Hi. You found it okay? Your directions were very specific." "I'm good with details." "I've noticed." They looked at each other, something warm passing between them. Then Victor glanced around at the crowded shop, the mismatched furniture, the chipped mugs. "This is your place," he said. "Is it too—" "It's perfect." Lily's chest did that tightening thing again. "You haven't even tried the coffee yet." "Don't need to. You like it here. That makes it perfect." And just like that, sitting in a cramped coffee shop in Brooklyn with terrible lighting and mediocre Wi-Fi, Lily fell a little bit more in love with a man she absolutely shouldn't. But she was done with should, done with safe, done with invisible. She wanted real, messy, complicated, true. She wanted Victor Romano and whatever came with him, even if it terrified her, especially if it did. 3 weeks into whatever they were calling this, Lily's carefully compartmentalized life started showing cracks. It began with Marcus noticing the car that picked her up after work every Thursday. Then Sarah from accounting commenting on Lily's new dress. Nothing extravagant, but nicer than her usual rotation. Then her mother calling with suspicion in her voice because Vanessa had mentioned seeing Lily at some charity gala downtown. "I didn't know you attended those things," her mother said, tone carefully neutral. "I don't, usually. A friend invited me." "What friend?" Lily pressed her fingers against her temple. "Just someone I met recently." "Lily Marie Bennett, are you dating someone?" The full name, never a good sign. "Maybe. It's new. I don't want to talk about it yet. Her mother's silence spoke volumes. Then, is he suitable? Lily almost laughed. Suitable. If her mother only knew. He's complicated, Lily settled on. Complicated how? Can we discuss this later? I'm at work. You're always at work, or mysteriously busy. You've canceled 3 family dinners. Guilt settled in Lily's stomach. She had canceled because Victor's schedule was unpredictable, and when he had free time, she wanted to take it. Wanted every moment she could steal from his dangerous, complicated world. I'm sorry, Lily said, meaning it. I'll come to the next one. Promise. Bring your friend, if he's important enough to make you cancel family. Lily's throat went dry. Mom, I don't think... Next Sunday, 6 o'clock. Your aunt is making brisket. The line went dead. Lily stared at her phone, panic rising. There was no universe where bringing Victor Romano to her mother's Queens apartment ended well. No possible scenario where that didn't explode in her face. Her phone buzzed. Victor. Dinner tonight? Can't. Rain check? Everything okay? Lily considered lying, considered saying yes and pretending the walls weren't closing in. But they'd promised honesty, even when it was uncomfortable. My mother wants me to bring you to family dinner Sunday. The 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. And you said that I'd come to the next one. She assumed that meant bringing you. Do you want me there? Lily closed her eyes. Did she? Part of her desperately wanted to keep Victor separate from her real life, safe in his own compartment where she could control the narrative. But another part, the part that was falling for him despite every logical reason not to, wanted him to meet the people who'd shaped her, wanted to see if he could exist in both worlds. I want you there, but I'm terrified of what happens when you are. I can handle your family, Lily. It's not them I'm worried about. The phone rang, Victor's name lighting up her screen. She answered, keeping her voice low. You're worried about me meeting them, Victor said. Not a question. You're you. They're extremely normal people who think a big night out is Olive Garden. The cognitive dissonance might break something. You think I can't be normal for a few hours? I think you'll try, and they'll see through it, and then my mother will ask questions I can't answer. Victor was quiet for a moment. What questions? What you do, where you live, how we met, what your intentions are. Lily laughed without humor. All the standard mother questions that have extremely non-standard answers in your case. I can lie. You said you don't lie to me. I won't lie to you. Your mother's different. Victor, Lily, listen to me. If you want me there, I'll be there. I'll wear something normal. I'll answer questions vaguely. I'll be charming and forgettable and whatever you need me to be. But if you don't want me there, just say it. I won't be offended. Lily leaned back in her desk chair, staring at the ceiling tiles she'd memorized over 3 years of employment. I want you there. That's the problem. I shouldn't, but I do. Then I'll be there. You're sure? Lily, I'd sit through 1,000 family dinners if it meant being part of your life. However, you'll have me. Her chest ached. You can't say things like that while I'm at work. I have spreadsheets to finish. Spreadsheets can wait. Spoken like someone who's never filed a quarterly report. Victor's laugh was warm in her ear. Come over tonight. Please. I miss you. You saw me yesterday. Still miss you. Lily closed her eyes. She had so much work to do, so many boundaries she should be maintaining, so many reasons to say no. Okay, she whispered. Yeah? Yeah. The relief in his voice was palpable. I'll send the car at 7. I can take the subway. Lily? Fine. 7. She hung up and tried to focus on her work, but the numbers swam together. Her mind was already across the river, already climbing to a private floor where a dangerous man grew basil and looked at her like she hung the moon. Marcus walked past her desk, paused, backtracked. You seen someone, Bennett? Lily's fingers froze on her keyboard. Why do you ask? You're smiling at your computer. You never smile at your computer. Usually you look like it personally offended you. It often does. But not today. Lily met his eyes. Marcus, who'd worked beside her for 3 years and never asked a personal question, who was now looking at her with something almost like concern. Maybe, she admitted. Good for you. You deserve something good. He walked away before Lily could respond, leaving her staring after him in surprise. Maybe she'd been invisible for so long she'd stopped noticing when people actually saw her. The day crawled. Lily forced herself through spreadsheets and client calls and a meeting about expense reports that could have been an email. At 6:30, she packed up her desk and headed downstairs. The black car was already waiting. Lily slid into the familiar leather interior, and there was Victor, tie loosened, jacket discarded, looking exhausted in a way that made her heart clench. "Bad day?" she asked. "Better now." He pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. Lily let herself melt into him, breathing in his cologne and the faint smell of coffee. "What happened?" "Business. Nothing you need to worry about." "Victor, please, let me have a few hours where I'm just a man who's happy to see you, not everything else." Lily heard the exhaustion beneath the words, the weight he carried that he never fully explained. She wanted to push, wanted to understand all the parts of his life he kept locked away, but she also understood the need to escape, even temporarily. "Okay," she said. "What does just a man want to do tonight?" Victor's smile was tired but real. "Order terrible takeout and watch bad movies?" "You have a TV?" "I might have to dust it off, but yes." "Deal." They ended up on his couch surrounded by containers of Thai food that was actually excellent, despite Victor's claims. Some black and white film played on the screen. Lily lost track of the plot within 10 minutes, too focused on the way Victor's thumb traced circles on her knee. "You're not watching," he observed. "Neither are you." "I'm watching you." "That's creepy. We discussed this." "You make it very difficult not to be creepy." Lily shifted to face him. "Talk to me. Really. What happened today?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Someone challenged a decision I made about transitioning certain operations into legitimate businesses. They think I'm getting soft." "Are you?" "Probably." "Because of me?" "Because I'm tired, Lily. Tired of the violence, tired of looking over my shoulder, tired of being my father's son." He ran a hand through his hair. "You didn't cause that. You just made me want something different badly enough to actually try." Lily took his hand, lacing their fingers together. "What did you tell them, the people who challenged you? That they could fall in line or find new employment? That's very diplomatic. That's the sanitized version. The actual conversation involved more threats and less diplomacy." "Did it work?" "For now. But they're right about one thing. I am getting soft. A year ago, there wouldn't have been a conversation. There would have been consequences." Lily's stomach twisted. She knew what he was, knew the world he operated in, but hearing it stated so plainly still made her feel slightly sick. Victor noticed. Of course he did. "This is what I meant," he said quietly, "about you being too good for this. For me. Stop deciding what I can handle. Someone has to. You have terrible self-preservation instincts," says the man actively trying to dismantle a criminal empire from the inside. "That's different." "How?" "Because I deserve whatever consequences come. You don't." Lily cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. "Listen to me. I'm here because I choose to be. Because you're more than the worst things you've done. Because I think you're trying to be better, and that matters. So stop trying to scare me away." "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" "You. From everything that comes with me. The danger, the scrutiny. The people who will use you to get to me." "Has that happened? Is someone threatening me?" Victor's silence was answer enough. Lily's blood went cold. "Victor, is someone threatening me?" "Nothing credible. Just chatter. People testing boundaries, seeing if you're leverage. And I made it very clear what would happen if anyone touched you, or looked at you wrong, or breathed in your general direction." Despite the fear crawling up her spine, Lily almost smiled. "Your version of protective is intense." "I don't know how to be any other way." "I know," Lily kissed him softly. "But you have to let me decide my own risks. You can't make those choices for me. Watch me." "Victor, no. This is non-negotiable. You want in my life? Fine. You want whatever this is between us? I want it too. But you don't get to take stupid risks with your safety just to prove a point. And you don't get to control me." They stared at each other, the first real argument simmering between them. Victor looked like he wanted to push back, to assert his will through sheer force of personality. Lily held her ground, refusing to blink first. Finally, Victor exhaled roughly. "I can't lose you." You won't. You don't know that. Neither do you. That's how this works. We're both taking risks. Victor pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. I'm bad at this. At caring about someone. At being vulnerable. You're doing better than you think. I threatened 3 people today over some vague comments about a woman I'm seeing. That's not normal boyfriend behavior. Lily's heart stuttered. Boyfriend? Victor stilled. Is that not... I assumed. No, it's... I just didn't know we were using labels. Would you prefer something else? Lily thought about it. About what Victor was to her. What she wanted him to be. Boyfriend works, she said. If you're okay with girlfriend. I'm very okay with girlfriend. Victor kissed her, slow and thorough. My girlfriend. Who's going to let me assign her a security detail? Absolutely not. Lily, no. I'm not having bodyguards follow me to work. That's insane. It's practical. It's paranoid. It's necessary. Victor, I love that you want to protect me, but I can't live my life with armed guards trailing me. That's not normal. That's not sustainable. Then what do you suggest? Lily thought about it. Compromise. You teach me how to be aware, how to stay safe, and I promise to be careful, but no bodyguards unless there's a credible, specific threat. Victor looked like he wanted to argue, but he also looked like he understood the line she was drawing. Fine. But you carry your phone at all times. You answer when I call. And if I say there's a threat, you don't argue. Deal. They shook on it, and despite the gravity of the conversation, Lily found herself smiling. What? Victor asked. We just had our first real fight, and compromised, like actual adults in a relationship. Is that surprising? A little. I expected more brooding and dramatic exits. The night's still young. Lily laughed, and the tension finally broke. They finished their terrible excellent takeout and watched the rest of the forgotten film. Victor fell asleep first, head tipped back against the couch, looking younger without the weight of consciousness. Lily studied him in the flickering light from the TV. This complicated, dangerous, unexpectedly gentle man who'd somehow become essential to her in a matter of weeks, who threatened people for looking at her wrong but also grew basil and made omelets and fell asleep during black and white movies. She was in love with him. The realization settled over her like snow, quiet, inevitable, transforming everything it touched. She was in love with Victor Romano, and it terrified her. Lily's phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Mother's buzzing about you bringing someone to dinner? Who is he? Lily grimaced. The family dinner. She'd almost forgotten. She looked at Victor, still sleeping peacefully. Imagined him in her mother's cramped apartment, surrounded by relatives who'd ask invasive questions and judge every answer. Imagined trying to explain what he did without lying or revealing anything dangerous. Her phone buzzed again. Vanessa. Is it serious? Mother thinks you're hiding something scandalous. Not hiding, just private. Private means scandalous, spill. Lily sighed. His name is Victor. We met at your party. That's all you're getting. The Victor? Romano? Good night, Vanessa. Lily. Marie Bennett. You cannot drop that bomb and disappear. Lily muted the conversation and set her phone aside. She'd deal with Vanessa later. Right now, she had more immediate concerns, like how to prepare Victor for her family without him either charming them completely or scaring them into silence. Sunday arrived with the inevitability of a freight train. Lily spent the morning stress cleaning her apartment and trying on 6 different outfits before settling on something that said, yes, I'm dating someone. No, you don't need to worry, without actually saying anything at all. Pepper watched the production with her usual disdain. I know, Lily told her. I'm being ridiculous, but this is important. Victor arrived at 4, early, because of course he was early. He was wearing jeans, actual jeans, and a sweater that looked expensive but not aggressively so. His hair was slightly less severe, like he'd tried to make it look casual. You look normal, Lily said, opening the door. Is that a compliment? From you? Absolutely. Victor stepped inside and Lily watched him take in her studio apartment, the mismatched furniture, the plant she kept forgetting to water, the photos stuck to the fridge with magnets, the life-size cat tree Pepper refused to use. It's small, Lily said defensively. It's you. Is that good or bad? It's perfect. He kissed her, and some of Lily's anxiety loosened. They could do this. One family dinner. How bad could it be? The drive to Queens took 40 minutes in Sunday traffic. Victor's driver navigated expertly while Lily ran through the family roster in her head. Okay, so my mother's Margaret. She's going to ask you a million questions. My Uncle Robert will try to talk to you about sports. Just nod and agree. Aunt Diane will want to know your intentions. Vanessa will probably stare at you like you're a zoo exhibit. What about your father? Not in the picture. Left when I was 12. We don't talk about it. Victor's hand found hers. I'm sorry. It's fine. Ancient history. Still sorry. They pulled up to a building that had seen better decades. Lily led Victor through a lobby with flickering fluorescent lights, and up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was perpetually broken. You grew up here? Victor asked. Until college. Then I moved to Brooklyn to feel independent while still being close enough for obligatory family dinners. How often is obligatory? Once a month, which I've been skipping, hence the command performance. Lily stopped outside apartment 3C, hand hovering over the doorbell. Last chance to run, she said. Not running. You might want to after you meet them. Lily, I've faced down actual criminals. I can handle your family. Different kind of scary. Victor smiled and rang the doorbell himself. Chaos exploded the moment the door opened. Her mother, already talking before she saw who was there. Her Aunt Diane carrying a casserole dish. Vanessa's voice from somewhere deeper in the apartment, followed by her cousin Michael's laugh. The smell of brisket and too many people in too small a space. Then Margaret Bennett saw Victor, and the chaos paused. Just for a second. But Lily caught it. The way her mother's eyes widened, the slight intake of breath, recognition, maybe. Or just surprise that her perpetually single daughter had brought someone who looked like that. Mom, this is Victor. Victor, my mother Margaret. Victor extended his hand, smile polite and practiced. Mrs. Bennett, thank you for having me. Margaret shook his hand, still slightly dazed. Of course, any friend of Lily's. Come in, come in. They entered the apartment, and Lily watched Victor take in her childhood home. The worn carpet, the photos covering every available wall surface, the couch with the permanent indent from years of use, everything shabby and comfortable and utterly at odds with his world. But Victor didn't flinch, didn't condescend, just smiled and complimented the photos and let himself be dragged around for introductions. Uncle Robert indeed tried to talk sports. Victor held his own, revealing unexpected knowledge of baseball statistics that had Robert beaming. Aunt Diane cornered them by the kitchen, eyes shrewd. So Victor, what do you do? Import-export mostly, some real estate investments. That's vague. Diane, Margaret interjected, don't interrogate the man. I'm not interrogating. I'm asking reasonable questions about the man dating our Lily. Victor handled it smoothly, deflecting without lying, charming without overdoing it. Lily watched in fascination as he navigated her family's dynamics like he'd studied for a test. Then Vanessa arrived, makeup perfect, dressed too fancy for a family dinner. She took one look at Victor and her eyes went wide. Holy... She caught herself. Hi, I'm Vanessa. We met at my party. I remember, Victor said politely. Congratulations on your engagement. Thanks. Derek couldn't make it today. Work thing. Vanessa's eyes kept darting between Victor and Lily, clearly dying to say something. Dinner was somehow worse and better than Lily expected. Her family peppered Victor with questions he answered vaguely. He complimented the brisket. He helped clear plates. He laughed at Uncle Robert's terrible jokes. He was perfect, almost too perfect. Lily watched him perform normal, and something in her chest tightened. This wasn't real. This was Victor playing a role, giving her family what they wanted to see. But it wasn't him, not the complicated, dangerous, real version she knew. After dinner, Lily escaped to the small balcony for air. The city sprawled below, Queens giving way to Brooklyn, giving way to Manhattan in the distance. Her two worlds, usually so separate, now colliding. You okay? Victor stepped onto the balcony, closing the door behind them. You were great in there, Lily said. Why do you sound upset about that? Because it wasn't you, not really. Victor leaned against the railing beside her. What did you want? Me to tell your uncle about the shipment deal that went south last week? Explain to your aunt exactly how I make my money? No, Lily struggled to find the words. I don't know how to reconcile these parts. You in there, being charming and normal. You in your world being dangerous and untouchable. Me, trying to exist in both. You think I don't struggle with the same thing? Lily, I spent the entire dinner terrified I'd say something wrong, use the wrong fork, reveal something I shouldn't, all while your mother watched me like she's trying to figure out if I'm good enough for you. Are you? The question hung between them. No, Victor said simply. I'm not, but I'm trying to be. Lily's eyes stung. You don't have to be perfect. With you, I want to be. I don't want perfect, I want real. Victor turned to face her fully. Real is messy. Real is me having days where I can't separate from the violence, where I make decisions that would horrify you, where I'm exactly what everyone warns you about. I know. And you're still here. I'm still here. Victor cupped her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. I don't deserve you. Stop saying that. It's true. It's insulting, like I don't have agency, like I'm some prize you've won instead of a person making her own choices. Victor blinked, clearly not expecting that response. You're right, he said after a moment. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing and kiss me. He did, thorough and claiming, and Lily forgot about the complicated worlds colliding, forgot about everything except this. The two of them on a balcony in Queens, choosing each other despite every reason not to. When they broke apart, Victor rested his forehead against hers. Your mother invited me to Thanksgiving, he said. Lily's eyes flew open. She what? While you were in the bathroom. She said any boyfriend of yours is welcome at family holidays. What did you say? I said I'd love to, if you want me there. Lily's heart was doing complicated gymnastics. Thanksgiving. Family holidays. The casual integration of Victor into her normal life. Do you actually want to come, or are you just being polite? I want to be wherever you are, even if it means eating questionable turkey and answering questions about my intentions. My family's turkey is excellent. I'm sure it is. Lily looked at him. This man who threatened people for her safety, but also showed up to family dinners and complimented brisket, who existed in contradictions and somehow made them work. Okay, she said, Thanksgiving? But I'm warning you now, my cousin Michael gets drunk and starts singing Broadway musicals. I can handle Broadway musicals. We'll see. They went back inside to find Vanessa had corralled the younger cousins into a game of cards, while the adults had settled into discussing politics with the kind of passion that would end in raised voices within 15 minutes. We should go, Lily said to her mother. Early morning tomorrow. Margaret hugged her, then surprised Lily by hugging Victor too. Take care of her, Margaret said quietly. Always, Victor replied. In the car heading back to Manhattan, Lily felt the exhaustion hit. She leaned against Victor's shoulder, processing the evening. That wasn't so bad, Victor offered. You were on your best behavior. Don't think I didn't notice. Would you prefer my worst behavior? I'd prefer your real behavior, whatever that is. Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then, the real me wanted to break your uncle's hand when he patted your shoulder too familiarly. That's just how Uncle Robert is. I know, logically, but the irrational part of me doesn't like other men touching you, even family. That's slightly unhinged. I warned you I don't do this well. Lily smiled despite herself. At least you're honest about being unhinged. It's all I've got. They rode in comfortable silence, the city lights blurring past. Lily felt the weight of the evening settling. The performance, the questions, the careful navigation of two incompatible worlds. Victor, she said quietly. Yeah? I love you. The words escaped before she could stop them, before she could calculate the risk or prepare for rejection. They just came out, raw and true and terrifying. Victor went completely still. Lily's heart pounded in the silence. She'd ruined it, moved too fast. Scared him away with feelings he didn't. Say it again, Victor said, voice rough. What? Say it again, please. Lily sat up, meeting his eyes. I love you. I know it's fast and probably stupid, and you don't have to. Victor kissed her, cutting off the rambling. Kissed her like she was oxygen, and he was drowning, like she'd handed him something he'd stopped believing existed. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Victor's eyes were suspiciously bright. I love you too, he said. So much it terrifies me. So much I'd burn down everything I've built if it meant keeping you safe. So much I don't know what to do with it. Lily's laugh was wet with tears. We're a mess. The best kind of mess. Is there a best kind? There is when it's us. They made it back to Victor's penthouse and didn't bother with the performative lower floor. Went straight to his private space, to his real home, and fell into bed together with the desperate need of people who'd finally said what mattered. Later, tangled in sheets with Victor's heartbeat steady beneath her ear, Lily let herself believe it might work, that love might be enough, that they could build something real from impossible pieces. She fell asleep believing it, and woke up to her world falling apart. Lily woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and Victor's side of the bed empty. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, squinting at the time. 7:15. Late for her usual routine, but she'd told her boss she'd be in by 9 after the family dinner ran long. 17 missed calls, 12 from unknown numbers, 5 from her mother. Lily's stomach dropped. She sat up, scrolling through text messages that made progressively less sense. Vanessa, call me now. Her mother, Lily Marie, what have you gotten yourself into? Unknown numbers with variations of, is this Lily Bennett? We'd like to ask you some questions about Victor Romano. The last one was from a number tagged as New York Chronicle. Ms. Bennett, we're running a story about Victor Romano's personal life. Would you like to comment? Lily's hands went numb. She stumbled out of bed, pulling on Victor's discarded shirt from last night. Found him in his office, phone pressed to his ear, voice low and dangerous. I don't care what you have to do. Find out who leaked it and handle it. He paused, noticed Lily in the doorway. His expression shuddered. I'll call you back. Victor, what's happening? Why are reporters... Let me see your phone. She handed it over without thinking. Victor scrolled through her messages, jaw getting tighter with each one. Don't answer any of these, he said finally. Don't call anyone back. Don't confirm or deny anything. Confirm or deny what? Victor, you're scaring me. He set her phone down carefully. Too carefully. Like he was trying very hard not to throw it across the room. Someone leaked our relationship to the press. Photos from yesterday. You at your mother's building. Us leaving together. They're running a story about who you are and why I'm seeing you. The floor tilted. What kind of story? The kind that asks questions about my business dealings and whether you're somehow involved. Whether you're leverage. Whether I'm using you to appear more legitimate. Victor's hands clenched into fists. They have photos, Lily, of you at work, of your apartment building, of your morning coffee run. How long have they been following me? At least a week? Maybe more. Lily sat down hard on the nearest chair. A week. Someone had been watching her, photographing her, building a story around her life while she'd been completely oblivious. I need to see it, she said. The article. Whatever they're saying. Lily, show me. Victor pulled it up on his laptop, turned the screen toward her. The headline made her feel sick. Romano's secret. Brooklyn accountant caught in Mafia Boss's web. The article was worse. Half speculation, half facts that shouldn't have been available to the public. Her full name, where she worked, her salary. How had they gotten her salary? Photos of her looking awkward and out of place at Vanessa's party. A particularly unflattering shot of her leaving Victor's building at dawn, hair messy, wearing yesterday's clothes. The text painted her as either a naive victim or a knowing accomplice. Either way, she came across as pathetic. The plain girl who'd somehow caught the attention of a powerful man and was now in over her head. They weren't wrong, exactly. That was the worst part. I'm going to be sick, Lily whispered. Victor was at her side immediately, hand on her back. Breathe, it's going to be okay. How? How is this okay? They know everything. Where I live, where I work, how much money I make. My lawyers are already working on it. We'll issue a statement. Threaten legal action for the invasion of privacy. That'll just make it worse. Make it look like we're hiding something. We are hiding something. Lily looked up at him. What are we hiding, Victor? The fact that we're together? That we care about each other? Why is that anyone else's business? Because of who I am. What I'm connected to. People want to know if you're an angle. A way in. A weakness. Am I? A weakness? Victor's expression was raw. The biggest one I've got. Lily's phone started ringing again. Her mother. Lily let it go to voicemail, but the next call came immediately. Then another. Then 3 texts from Vanessa, each more frantic than the last. I need to call my mother back, Lily said numbly. What are you going to tell her? I don't know. The truth? That I'm dating you and somehow that became national news? It's not national, just local. And some online outlets picking it up. That's not better, Victor. That's actually worse. My mother reads those outlets. Lily called her mother back with shaking hands. Margaret answered on the first ring. Lily Marie Bennett, what in heaven's name is going on? Mom, I can explain. There's an article with photos. They're calling Victor a mafia boss. They're saying you might be in danger. Mrs. Chen from down the hall showed it to me at 7 this morning like it was the morning gossip. I'm not in danger. How do you know? Lily, what were you thinking? I knew something was off about him. Too smooth, too polished. Men like that don't date girls like you unless they want something. The words hit like a slap. Girls like you, plain, forgettable, not worth wanting for their own sake. Mom, that's not... Come home. Right now. Pack your things and come home where you're safe. I'm not coming home. I'm 26 years old. Then you're making a mistake. A huge one. And when it falls apart, don't come crying to me. The line went dead. Lily stared at her phone, throat tight. Victor was watching her with an expression that looked suspiciously like guilt. She's scared, he said quietly. People say things when they're scared. She's not wrong, though. Is she? Girls like me don't end up with men like you, not in real life, not without consequences. Lily, I need to go to work. She looked down at herself, still wearing Victor's shirt and nothing else. I need clothes, and my apartment, and to pretend like my life isn't imploding. You're not going to work today. Excuse me? It's not safe. There are probably reporters waiting outside your building. Definitely some at your office. You go there now, you'll be swarmed. I can't just not show up. I have responsibilities, which matter less than your safety. Lily stood, anger cutting through the numbness. You don't get to make that decision for me. Actually, I do. You want to be in my life. This is part of it. Security, precautions, sometimes staying hidden until things calm down. I'm not hiding. That makes it look like we did something wrong. We did do something wrong. We got careless. Let our guard down. Victor ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. I should have been more careful. Should have had security sweep for surveillance. Should have what? Never dated me in the first place? The question hung between them, sharp and painful. That's not what I meant, Victor said. Isn't it? Because right now it seems like I'm the liability. The problem you're trying to manage. You're not a problem. You're the person I love who's now in danger because I was selfish enough to want you anyway. Lily's anger deflated slightly. She could see the guilt eating at him, the way he was already calculating how to fix this, protect her, control the narrative. I'm calling my boss, she said, explaining the situation, taking a personal day. But tomorrow, I'm going back to work. And I'm living my life. Because I refuse to let some article dictate how I exist. Victor looked like he wanted to argue, but he also looked like he understood the line she was drawing. Okay, but you're not taking the subway, and you're not walking anywhere alone until we know the reporters have moved on. Fine. And you're staying here tonight, where security is better. I have a cat. I'll send someone to check on her, feed her, whatever she needs. Lily wanted to argue on principle, but the truth was, her studio apartment with its flimsy lock and fire escape access suddenly felt very unsafe. Okay, she said quietly. Victor pulled her close, and Lily let herself lean into him for a moment, let herself pretend that love was enough to protect against the mess they'd created. The day spiraled from there. Lily called her boss, who'd already seen the article and was remarkably understanding in a way that made Lily suspect HR had been involved. Her coworkers were texting, some concerned, some clearly fishing for gossip. Sarah from accounting sent a message that just said, holy shit, call me when you can. Vanessa called 6 times before Lily finally answered. Are you okay? Is he holding you hostage? Blink twice if you need rescue. I'm fine, Vanessa. I'm at his place because my apartment is probably surrounded by reporters. This is insane, like actually insane. You're dating Victor Romano, the Victor Romano. And you didn't tell me. I was trying to keep it private. Well, congratulations. You failed spectacularly. Lily almost laughed. Almost. Look, I can't really talk about this right now. Is it true, what they're saying about him being connected to organized crime? Lily closed her eyes. It's complicated. That's not a no. Vanessa, I really can't. Fine. But when this dies down, you're telling me everything. And I mean everything. After Vanessa hung up, Lily found Victor in his office again. He was on the phone speaking rapid Italian to someone who was clearly not happy with him. When he saw her, he wrapped up quickly. "How bad is it?" Lily asked. "They're running more stories, digging into your background, calling people you went to college with." "You're kidding. I wish I was." Lily sat down, head in her hands. "This is a nightmare." "I'm going to fix it." "How? You can't unpublish articles. Can't make people forget what they read." "No, but I can make them think twice about publishing more, and I can make sure you're protected." "By threatening people? That's your solution?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Sometimes that's the only language people understand." "Or you could just let it die down naturally. Stop feeding the story by reacting." "While they harass you, follow you, dig into every aspect of your life? No, absolutely not." They were fighting again. Lily could feel it building, the fundamental disconnect between how they saw the world. Victor wanted to control, to protect through force. Lily wanted to endure, to prove she couldn't be broken. "I need air," Lily said. "The terrace, real air. Outside. In the actual world." "Lily, that's not smart right now." "I don't care. I'm going to lose my mind if I stay locked in here like some princess in a tower." "Give it a few days. Let the story cool off." "A few days will turn into a week, then a month. Then I'll have spent half a year hiding from cameras, and I won't even recognize my own life anymore." Victor stood, coming around his desk. "What do you want me to do? Ignore the threats? Pretend you're not in danger? I want you to trust me to make my own choices, even when they scare you." "I can't." "Then we have a problem." The words sat between them, heavy and undeniable. This was the crack, Lily realized, the place where their relationship would either bend or break. Victor's need to control versus her need for autonomy. His world versus hers. Safety versus freedom. "I'm going for a walk," Lily said. "You can send someone to follow me if it makes you feel better, but I'm going." She expected Victor to argue, to forbid it, to pull rank somehow. Instead, he just looked tired. "Okay, but stay in public places, keep your phone on, and take Marcus with you." "Who's Marcus?" "Security. He's good. Discreet. You won't even know he's there." "I'll definitely know he's there." "Lily, please, let me do this one thing. Let me make sure you're safe." The exhaustion in his voice broke through her anger. He wasn't trying to control her. He was terrified, genuinely, bone-deep terrified that something would happen to her. "Okay," Lily said softly. "Discreet security. But I get to go where I want." "Deal." Marcus turned out to be a surprisingly normal-looking guy in his 30s who introduced himself simply and then fell back to follow at a distance that was both professional and slightly unnerving. Lily walked through Central Park, needing the trees and the open space and the reminder that the world was bigger than one scandal. People stared. Or maybe they didn't, and Lily was just paranoid. Either way, she felt exposed in a way she never had before. Like everyone knew. Everyone was judging. Her phone buzzed constantly. More unknown numbers, more requests for comment, a few messages that were clearly from trolls who'd found her information online and felt entitled to share their opinions on her life choices. She blocked them methodically, then turned off her phone entirely. The park helped. The autumn air, the sound of kids playing, the elderly couple feeding pigeons like the world wasn't falling apart. Lily sat on a bench and tried to remember who she'd been a month ago, before Victor. Before everything got complicated. She couldn't quite recall that person, couldn't remember what it felt like to be invisible. "Miss Bennett?" Lily looked up. A woman in her 50s stood nearby, expensive coat and careful makeup. She looked familiar in a way Lily couldn't place. "I don't want to intrude," the woman continued, "but I wanted to say something, if you'll listen." Lily glanced back. Marcus had tensed, hand moving toward something under his jacket. Lily shook her head slightly. The woman looked harmless. "Okay," Lily said cautiously. The woman sat on the opposite end of the bench, maintaining respectful distance. "I was involved with someone in Victor's world once. Different family, same life. I know what you're going through." "I'm not going through anything. I'm just dating someone the press finds interesting." "You're dating Victor Romano. That's not someone the press finds interesting. That's a target on your back." Lily's stomach clenched. "What do you want?" To warn you. These men, they'll consume you if you let them. They'll make you feel special, protected, loved, and maybe it's even real. But the cost is everything you are outside of them. Your identity, your safety, your peace. You don't know Victor. I know men like him, and I know girls like you, good girls who think love is enough, who believe they can change someone or at least survive being with them. The woman's smile was sad. I believed it too. For years. Until the day someone tried to kidnap me to get leverage on my boyfriend. I was 27, the same age you are now. Lily's blood went cold. What happened? I got away, barely, and I left, disappeared, changed my name, spent a decade looking over my shoulder. The woman stood. I'm not telling you to leave him. That's your choice. I'm just telling you the cost. Make sure you're willing to pay it. She walked away before Lily could respond. Marcus appeared at Lily's side immediately. You okay? Who was she? I don't know. Someone with opinions about my life. Should I have her followed? Lily almost said yes. Almost let Victor's world of paranoia and control swallow her completely. But something in her resisted. No. Let her go. Back at Victor's penthouse, Lily found him in the kitchen cooking. Actual cooking, not having a chef prepare something. The domesticity of it should have been comforting. Instead, it felt surreal. How was your walk? Victor asked, not looking up from whatever he was chopping. Educational? Meaning? Lily pulled herself onto the counter, watching him work. A woman approached me, said she used to date someone in your world, warned me about the costs. Victor's knife paused. What did she say? That loving you would consume everything I am, that the danger is real, that I should make sure I'm willing to pay the price. She's not wrong. Is that why you never dated anyone seriously before? Because the cost was too high? Partly. Also because no one made me want to pay it. Victor set down the knife, turning to face her. Until you. I'm not special, Victor. I'm just the first person who didn't know who you were. The first one who wasn't performing. You're wrong. You're special because you see me, actually see me, and stay anyway, because you call me on my bullshit, because you make me want to be better instead of just pretending to be. Lily's throat tightened. What if better isn't enough? What if we try everything and it still falls apart? Then at least we tried. At least we had this. Is that enough for you? Victor moved between her legs, hands bracketing her hips on the counter. You're enough for me, however long I get to keep you. Lily kissed him, tasting the fear beneath his words. They were both terrified, both in way over their heads, both knowing this might be a disaster, but choosing it anyway. I love you, Lily said against his mouth. I love you too. Enough to let you go if that's what keeps you safe. Don't you dare. I didn't survive today just to have you make that decision for me. Victor's smile was pained. Stubborn. You're one to talk. They ate dinner together, talking around the elephant in the room. The article. The attention. The fundamental question of whether this relationship could survive the pressure being applied from all sides. Lily's phone, turned back on, showed 43 new messages. She ignored all of them except one from her boss. Take the rest of the week. Paid leave. Let things settle. We'll talk Monday. It was kind. More than Lily deserved, given that she'd brought a media circus to the office door. That night, tangled in Victor's bed with his heartbeat steady beneath her ear, Lily made a decision. She couldn't control what people wrote about her, couldn't control the speculation or the judgment, but she could control how she responded. She could choose to live her life on her terms, consequences be damned. Victor? She whispered into the darkness. Yeah? I'm not going anywhere. Just so you know, whatever happens, articles, threats, my mother's disappointment, I'm staying. Victor's arms tightened around her. Why? Because you're worth it. Because this is worth it. Because I'm tired of being afraid of living. You're not afraid of living. You're afraid of dying. Same thing sometimes. Victor pressed a kiss to the top of her head. Promise me something. What? If it gets too much, if you can't handle the pressure, tell me. Don't just disappear trying to protect me from your leaving. Lily's eyes stung. I promise. Same goes for you. Deal. They fell asleep like that, holding each other against the world outside, against the threats and the judgment and the very real danger of loving someone whose life was built on violence. The next morning, Lily woke to find Victor already dressed, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid Italian that sounded angry. When he saw her awake, he switched to English. Find out who's talking to the press and handle it. I don't care what you have to do. He hung up, turning to Lily with an expression she'd never seen before, pure cold fury. What happened? Lily asked, sitting up. Someone inside my organization leaked information to the Chronicle. About you. About us. Details that weren't public knowledge. Why would they do that? To undermine me. To prove I'm compromised. To show that I'm weak because I care about someone. You're not weak. In my world, caring is weakness. Love is leverage, and you, his voice cracked slightly. You're both. Lily got out of bed, crossing to him. What are you going to do? What I should have done weeks ago. Make an example. Make sure everyone understands that you're untouchable. Victor, if you hurt someone because of me, it's not because of you. It's because they betrayed me. You're just the excuse they used. The distinction felt thin. Lily cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. Don't become the thing you're trying to escape. Don't let protecting me turn you back into your father. Victor's jaw clenched. What if that's who I need to be? To keep you safe? Then we've already lost. The words hung between them. Victor closed his eyes, leaning into her touch like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. How to love you without destroying everything I'm trying to build. How to protect you without becoming a monster. You figure it out, we figure it out together. And if we can't, then we deal with that when it comes. But we don't give up before we try. Victor pulled her close, and Lily felt him shaking slightly. This man who commanded empires and inspired fear, shaking because he loved her, and didn't know how to make that work with the life he'd inherited. Okay, he said finally. We try. But Lily, if I ask you to do something, take precautions, avoid certain places, let security follow you, I need you to trust that it's necessary. And I need you to trust that I'm not made of glass, that I can handle more than you think. You can handle anything. That's not the point. The point is, you shouldn't have to. Lily didn't have an answer for that, because he was right. She shouldn't have to live with security details and leaked photos and strangers approaching her in parks with warnings about the cost of love. But she was willing to, for him, for them, for the chance at something real in a world built on performances and lies. They'd figure it out, or they wouldn't, but at least they'd try, and right now that was enough. The crisis didn't resolve itself in a day or a week or even a month. It became something Lily had to live with. The stares, the whispers, the occasional reporter who thought ambushing her outside the bodega would yield a story worth printing. She learned to walk past them without flinching, to say no comment without her voice shaking, to exist in the space between Victor's world and her own without losing herself entirely. It wasn't easy. Some days it felt impossible. 2 months after the article broke, Lily sat in her boss's office getting a performance review that was equal parts professional and concerned. Your work hasn't suffered, Mr. Chen said carefully, but I'd be lying if I said the attention hasn't been disruptive. I understand. I'm sorry. I'm not asking for an apology. I'm asking if you're okay. If you need support, resources, time off. Lily blinked, surprised by the genuine concern. I'm managing. Managing isn't the same as thriving, and you've always been someone who thrives here, Lily. I don't want to lose that. You won't. I promise. Mr. Chen studied her for a long moment. For what it's worth, I think you're handling an impossible situation with remarkable grace. Not many people could. The word stayed with Lily long after she left his office. Grace. She didn't feel graceful. She felt like she was constantly scrambling, constantly adjusting, constantly trying to prove she was more than the girl in the tabloid photos. Victor noticed. Of course he noticed. You're exhausted, he said one evening as they sat in his private terrace, surrounded by plants that were thriving under his meticulous care. I'm fine. You're lying. Lily set down her wine glass. Okay, yes, I'm tired, but I'm handling it. You shouldn't have to handle it. This is my fault. Stop. We've been through this. It's not your fault someone leaked information. It's not your fault the press ran with it. It's just what happened. I could make it stop. Issue a statement. Pay people off. Make the story disappear. Or you could let me deal with it my way. which is living my life and refusing to hide. Victor's frustration was evident. Your way leaves you vulnerable. Your way makes me a prisoner. They'd had this argument in various forms over the past 2 months. Victor wanted to shield her from everything. Lily wanted to prove she didn't need shielding. Neither approach was working particularly well. I have an idea, Lily said carefully, and you're going to hate it. That's not a promising start. What if we stopped trying to control the narrative and just lived openly? Let people see that we're together, that it's real, that I'm not some victim or accomplice or whatever they think I am. Victor's expression was unreadable. You want to go public, officially. I want to stop hiding. There's a difference. Not much of one. Victor, people are going to speculate regardless. Might as well give them the boring truth. We're two people who met and fell in love. Nothing sinister, nothing scandalous, just real. The truth isn't boring. The truth is, I'm connected to things that could destroy you. Then help me understand those things. Stop protecting me from information and trust me to handle it. The request hung between them. Victor had been careful, maddeningly careful, about what he shared regarding his business dealings. Lily knew the basics. He was transitioning away from his family's criminal enterprises, trying to legitimize operations that had been built on blood and violence. But the details remained frustratingly vague. You want the whole truth? Victor asked quietly. I want to know what I'm actually involved in, not the sanitized version you think I can handle. Victor stood, pacing to the edge of the terrace. The city sprawled below them, lights beginning to flicker on as dusk settled. When he spoke, his voice was careful, measured. My father ran one of the largest import operations in the Northeast, legitimate on paper. But the real money came from moving things that weren't legal, drugs, weapons, occasionally people. I inherited it all when he died. The business, the connections, the blood on the ledger. Lily's stomach clenched, but she stayed quiet. I've spent the last 5 years trying to untangle it, shutting down operations, moving money into legal enterprises, making enemies of everyone who profited from the old way of doing things. Victor turned to face her. The people who leaked our relationship, they want me to fail, want to prove I'm weak, that caring about you makes me a liability. And does it? Yes, absolutely. You're the biggest vulnerability I've ever had. Then why keep me around? Victor's smile was pained. Because I'm selfish, because you make me want to be someone worth your time. Because the alternative, a life without you, feels worse than any threat they could make. Lily crossed to him, taking his hands. I need you to hear something. Really hear it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to erase your past or pretend you're someone you're not. I just need honesty. And I need you to trust that I'm strong enough to stand beside you instead of behind you. You're the strongest person I know. That's not the issue. Then what is? I'm terrified that one day you'll realize what you've given up for me. The normal life you could have had. The safe choices. The simple love that doesn't come with security details and leaked photos. Lily cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. I don't want simple. I want you. Complicated, dangerous, trying so hard to be better you. That's my choice. Stop trying to take it away from me. Victor kissed her then, desperate and claiming and full of the fear he usually kept locked away. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. Okay, he said. No more secrets. No more protecting you from the truth. But in exchange, you listen when I say something's dangerous. When I ask you to take precautions. Deal? Deal. They sealed it with another kiss, and for the first time in months, Lily felt like they were actually on the same page. The next few weeks were a revelation. Victor started including her in conversations about his business, the legitimate parts and the complicated transitions away from the rest. Lily met his lawyers, his accountants, the people helping him restructure operations into something that wouldn't land him in prison. She also met Elena, the woman from Vanessa's party who'd watched Victor with calculation in her eyes. So you're the accountant, Elena said, looking Lily over with undisguised assessment. They were at some charity function Victor had been obligated to attend, and Lily had insisted on coming. Junior accountant, technically. And you're with Victor because I like him. Novel concept, I know. Elena's smile was sharp. You've got spine, I'll give you that. Most girls he looks at twice fall apart under pressure. I'm not most girls. No, you're really not. Elena's assessment shifted slightly. Be careful. The people who want him to fail will use you if they can, and some of them are very good at finding pressure points. Thanks for the warning. Not a warning, just information. Victor's trying to do something most people think is impossible. He could use someone who won't fold when things get ugly. Elena walked away, leaving Lily with the distinct impression she'd just been tested, and somehow passed. Victor appeared at her elbow moments later. What did she say to you? That I have spine, and that I shouldn't fold when things get ugly. Good advice. She cares about you, in her way. Victor's expression was complicated. Elena and I have history, but it was never what you and I have. It was transactional, useful. This, he gestured between them. This is terrifying and real and the best thing I've ever had. Lily smiled despite herself. You're getting better at the emotional honesty thing. I have a good teacher. The charity event was exhausting but instructive. Lily watched Victor navigate conversations with people who smiled while calculating how to use him. Watched him deflect questions about his business with practiced ease. Watched him keep one hand on the small of her back the entire evening, anchoring himself to her like she was the only real thing in the room. On the way home, Lily asked the question that had been building all night. Do you actually like these people? Any of them? No, they're useful, necessary, but I don't trust them further than I could throw them. Then why go? Because appearances matter. Because staying connected to this world is how I maintain enough influence to dismantle the parts that need dismantling. It's a long game. How long? 3 more years, maybe 4. If I can keep the peace that long, I'll have transitioned everything into legitimate operations, and then I can walk away. To do what? Victor glanced at her, something vulnerable in his expression. I don't know. I've never let myself think that far ahead. What do you think I should do? Lily considered it seriously. Grow things. You're good at it, and you're happy when you're covered in dirt and arguing with basil plants about optimal sunlight. A former Mafia boss running a garden center, that'll go over well. A businessman with agricultural interests, spin is everything. Victor laughed, real and unguarded. You make it sound possible. It is possible, if you want it badly enough. What do you want, Lily, in 3 or 4 years when this is over? The question caught her off guard. What did she want? 6 months ago, she would have said stability, a promotion, maybe a nicer apartment, the safe, predictable progression of a life lived carefully. Now? Now she wanted something entirely different. I want us, she said simply. However that looks, wherever we end up. I want to still be having this conversation in 4 years. Just this conversation? All the conversations, the fights, the compromises, the terrifying decisions, all of it. Victor pulled her closer in the back seat. I can give you that. Can you? Really? Or are we just hoping? Both. But I'm willing to work for it if you are. Deal. They arrived back at Victor's penthouse to find an unexpected guest waiting. A man in his 60s with sharp eyes and an expensive suit that screamed old money and older connections. Uncle Sal, Victor said, voice carefully neutral. This is unexpected. I heard you brought someone to the Castellano benefit. Wanted to see for myself. Sal's eyes landed on Lily, assessment immediate and thorough. So you're the accountant. Lily Bennett. She extended her hand. Sal shook it, grip firm. Salvatore Romano, Victor's uncle, and former business partner to his father. The emphasis on former wasn't lost on Lily. This was a test, another one. Nice to meet you, she said. Is it? Sal smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Most people who meet me don't think so. I have a certain reputation. So does Victor. I'm still here. Sal's laugh was unexpected. She's got nerve. I like that. The last girl Victor brought around cried when I asked what she did for a living. I didn't bring her around. She showed up uninvited, and I made it clear she should leave. Details. Sal turned back to Lily. You know what you're getting into with him? I'm learning. And you're staying anyway? I'm staying anyway. Sal studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good. He needs someone who won't run when things get complicated. And things are about to get very complicated. Victor tensed. What are you talking about? The Castellis. They're not happy about your recent restructuring. Word is they're planning to contest some territory transitions, violently, if necessary. Let them try. Victor, they're not playing around. They see you as weak because you're trying to go legitimate, because you care about... Sal gestured at Lily. Other things besides power. Then they don't know me very well. Don't they? Sal's expression was serious now. You've changed, nephew. Your father would have ended this before it started, would have made an example brutal enough that no one would dare challenge him again. But you're trying to be different, trying to be better. That's admirable. It's also dangerous. I'm handling it. Are you? Or are you so focused on protecting her that you're leaving openings elsewhere? The question hit home. Lily could see it in the way Victor's jaw tightened. What do you suggest? Victor asked carefully. End it. The relationship. Publicly. Make it clear she means nothing to you. Remove the target. No. Victor, I said no. I'm not using her as a pawn. I'm not pretending she doesn't matter. Find another solution. Sal sighed. Then you better be prepared for war, because that's what's coming. After Sal left, Victor paced his office like a caged animal. Lily watched from the doorway, processing everything she'd just heard. Talk to me, she said finally. He's right. Keeping you in my life makes me vulnerable. Makes you vulnerable. The smart play would be to end this before someone uses you to get to me. But you're not going to. No, I'm not. Why? Victor stopped pacing, looking at her with raw honesty. Because I'd rather fight a war with you beside me than win anything without you. Lily's chest ached. That's possibly the most romantic and terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. It's the truth. So what do we do? How do we handle this? Victor crossed to her, taking her hands. We do what we've been doing. We adapt. We stay smart. And we don't let fear make our decisions. That sounds suspiciously like a plan that could get us both killed. Probably. You want out? Lily thought about it seriously. About the safe life she could return to if she walked away now. About her studio apartment and her cat and her spreadsheets. And the blissful ignorance of a world without death threats and territory disputes. Then she thought about Victor's smile when she said something unexpectedly funny. About falling asleep to his heartbeat. About the way he looked at her like she was the solution to an equation he'd been trying to solve his entire life. No, she said. I don't want out. But I want to be useful, not just protected. If there's going to be a fight, I want to actually help. You're not trained for this kind of thing. I'm an accountant. I'm trained to find discrepancies, follow money trails, see patterns other people miss. Use me for that. Let me actually contribute instead of just being the thing you're protecting. Victor looked skeptical. What are you proposing? Let me look at your business records, the transitions, the territory agreements. If the Castellis are planning something, there will be financial footprints, unusual movements, preparation costs. I can find them. That's actually not a terrible idea. Don't sound so surprised. Victor pulled her close. I'm not surprised. I'm impressed. And terrified. But mostly impressed. Good. Get me access to the records and I'll start looking tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. So? So we were supposed to have a normal weekend. Just us. No business. No threats. Just being together. Lily softened. We can do both. Morning spreadsheets, afternoon normal. Deal? You're incorrigible. You love it. I really do. They spent that night tangled together, making promises with their bodies that their words couldn't quite capture. In the morning, Lily attacked Victor's business records with the same intensity she applied to her work accounts. By noon, she'd found 3 anomalies worth investigating. Here, she said, pointing at her laptop screen. The Castellis have been funneling money through this shell company. Small amounts over 6 months, but it adds up to almost $2 million. Victor leaned over her shoulder. That's a war chest. That's preparation. They're building resources for something big. Can you trace where it's going? Give me another day, maybe 2. But yes, I can follow this. Victor kissed the top of her head. You're brilliant. Has anyone told you that? Not recently. Feel free to repeat it often. Over the next week, Lily compiled a report that was part financial analysis, part intelligence brief. She traced money movements, identified shell companies, and mapped out a network of financial preparation that pointed to the Castellis planning something within the next month. Victor took her findings to his people, the legitimate ones and the less legitimate ones who were helping with the transition. Within days, they'd confirmed everything Lily found and added their own intelligence. "You were right," Victor told her. "They're planning to hit 3 of our newly legitimate operations simultaneously, trying to prove I can't protect what's mine." "When?" 2 weeks. Maybe less." "What's the plan?" Victor hesitated, clearly debating how much to share. Then he seemed to remember their agreement. "No more secrets. We're going to let them try. But we'll be ready. Turn their attack into evidence of aggression that violates about 15 different agreements. Force them to back down or face consequences from every other family in the region. That's risky." "Everything's risky, but this way we don't fire the first shot. We just make sure the last one counts." Lily understood the game he was playing. It was chess with human pieces, and she was uncomfortably aware that she was one of them. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Stay safe. Let security do their job, and trust that I'm doing everything possible to end this without more violence." "Okay, but Victor?" "Yeah?" "If something goes wrong, if this gets worse instead of better, I need you to promise me something." "Anything. Don't lose yourself trying to protect me. Don't become your father, just to keep me safe. I'd rather lose you to prison than lose you to becoming someone you hate." Victor's expression was raw. "That's a hell of a thing to ask." "I know, but I need to hear you promise." "I promise. No matter what happens, I won't become him." They sealed it with a kiss that tasted like hope and fear in equal measure. The next 2 weeks were tense. Lily went to work with security she couldn't see but knew was there. Returned to Victor's penthouse every evening to compare notes and strategize. They fell into a rhythm that was part normal couple, part wartime planning committee. The attack, when it came, was almost anticlimactic. The Castellis hit exactly when and where Victor's intelligence predicted, but instead of finding vulnerable targets, they found documented evidence of their aggression: security footage, financial records, testimony from employees they'd tried to intimidate. Victor's response was calculated and devastating. He didn't retaliate with violence. He retaliated with lawyers, accountants, and enough evidence to bury the Castellis in legal problems for the next decade. He also quietly reached out to other families, making it clear that anyone who attacked his legitimate operations would face similar consequences. Within a month, the Castellis backed down, publicly apologized, agreed to honor the territory transitions without further contest. It wasn't a complete victory. There would always be challenges, always be people testing boundaries. But it was a shift, proof that Victor's way might actually work. The evening after the Castellis formally backed down, Victor took Lily to his terrace garden. The plants had thrived under his care, creating a small oasis of green in the middle of concrete and steel. "It's over," he said. "The immediate threat, anyway." "How does it feel?" "Strange. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong." "Maybe it won't. Maybe this is what winning looks like." Victor pulled her close. "I couldn't have done it without you. The financial analysis, the evidence trails. You made this possible. You would have figured it out eventually. Maybe, but I would have defaulted to violence, to being my father's son. You gave me another option." Lily leaned into him, breathing in the scent of earth and growing things. "So what happens now?" "Now we live. We plan. We figure out what comes next. Together? If you'll have me." Lily pulled back to look at him. "Victor Romano, are you asking me to build a life with you?" "I'm asking if you want to, knowing that it'll be complicated, that there will always be some level of danger, that normal might never be fully achievable. I stopped wanting normal the day I met you." "Is that a yes?" "That's a yes." Victor kissed her, and Lily felt the shift, from crisis mode to actual future, from surviving to thriving. 6 months later, Lily stood in a different garden. This one was acres instead of terraces, upstate instead of Manhattan. Victor had bought the property, a former estate with greenhouses and gardens and enough land to disappear into. "What do you think?" he asked, watching her explore. "I think you're serious about this whole growing things plan." "I'm serious about a lot of things. Growing things, going legitimate, building something that doesn't require looking over my shoulder." "And you. I'm very serious about you." Lily turned to find him holding a small box. Her heart stopped. "Lily Bennett," Victor said, dropping to one knee on the garden path. "You've seen the worst parts of me and stayed anyway. You've made me want to be better. made me believe I can be. Will you marry me? Build this life with me? Grow things together, literal and metaphorical?" Lily's eyes filled with tears. "That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Literal and metaphorical? Really? Is that a no?" "That's a yes, you ridiculous man. Obviously yes." Victor slid the ring onto her finger. Simple, elegant, nothing ostentatious. Exactly right. They kissed, surrounded by growing things, by the promise of spring and new beginnings and futures that didn't require violence to maintain. "I love you," Lily said against his mouth. "I love you too, more than I thought possible. Even though I'm terrible at gardening? Especially because of that. Someone needs to keep me humble." Lily laughed, and the sound echoed through the garden like permission to be happy. The wedding, when it came, was small. Lily's family, her mother slowly coming around to the idea that maybe Victor wasn't a complete disaster. Vanessa serving as maid of honor and asking invasive questions about the honeymoon. Uncle Robert trying to talk baseball with Victor's Uncle Sal and being surprised to find common ground. Victor's side was smaller. The people who'd helped him transition away from his father's legacy. The lawyers and accountants who'd made it possible. Elena, who hugged Lily and whispered, "You did good. Both of you." They exchanged vows in the garden Victor had been cultivating, promised each other honesty, compromise, and the courage to keep choosing each other even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. Lily became Lily Romano and somehow stayed entirely herself. She kept her job, got promoted actually, once the scandal fully died down, worked 4 days a week in Manhattan and spent the other 3 upstate helping Victor plan his agricultural ventures and getting dirt under her fingernails. They fought sometimes, about security measures Lily thought were excessive, about risks Victor thought she took too casually, about whose family to visit for which holiday, normal things and abnormal things and everything in between, but they always came back to each other, always chose conversation over silence, always remembered what they'd built together from impossible pieces. 2 years after the wedding, Lily found Victor in one of the greenhouses, covered in dirt, and arguing with a tomato plant that wasn't thriving the way he wanted. "I think you're overwatering," she observed. "I'm not overwatering. The drainage is off." "Or you're overwatering." Victor looked up, dirt smudged on his cheek, and smiled. "You just like being right." "I am right, frequently. Can't argue with that." He stood, crossing to her. "What brings you out here? Thought you had reports to finish." "I do, but I also have news." "Good news or bad news?" "Depends on your perspective." Lily took his hand, placing it on her still flat stomach. "We're going to need to make room for someone else. In about 7 months. Victor's eyes went wide. We're pregnant, yes. Surprise." "Surprise?" Victor's laugh was slightly hysterical. "That's one word for it. How long have you known?" "About a week. I wanted to be sure before I said anything." Victor pulled her close, careful and reverent. "We're having a baby." "We're having a baby. Are you okay with that?" "Okay with it?" "Lily, I'm terrified and thrilled and completely unprepared, and this is the best news I've ever gotten." Even better than the Castellis backing down?" "Not even close. This is your—" He seemed to run out of words, just holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world, which, to him, she was. 7 months later, Elena Marie Romano entered the world with her father's dark eyes and her mother's stubborn chin. Victor cried when he held her for the first time. Lily pretended not to notice, too busy crying herself. They brought her home to the upstate house, to the garden that had become a sanctuary, taught her to walk between rows of vegetables and identify plants by their leaves, watched her grow into someone fierce and kind and entirely her own person. Lily's mother visited often, grudgingly admitting that maybe Victor wasn't the disaster she'd initially feared. Uncle Robert taught Elena about baseball. Vanessa spoiled her with impractical gifts and unsolicited parenting advice. Victor's transition away from his family's criminal enterprises became complete. He sold off the last of the questionable operations, distributed resources to people who'd helped make it possible, and walked away from that world with minimal consequences and maximum relief. He'd done what most people thought impossible. And he'd done it without becoming his father. The garden center they opened became unexpectedly successful. People came from all over to get advice from the former businessmen who somehow knew everything about optimal growing conditions and soil composition. Lily handled the books, finding the same satisfaction in balanced accounts that she'd always had, but now with the added bonus of working towards something they'd built together. Some nights, after Elena was asleep and the house was quiet, Lily and Victor would sit on the porch overlooking the gardens. They'd talk about everything and nothing, about Elena's latest adventure, about which plants were thriving, about the life they'd built from broken pieces and stubborn hope. "Do you ever regret it?" Lily asked one evening, "leaving your father's world behind?" "Not even once." "Do you? Choosing this life instead of the safe one?" Lily thought about it seriously, about the junior accountant she'd been, invisible, careful, living a life so small it barely made a dent in the world. Then she thought about who she was now, mother, wife, partner in an agricultural business that shouldn't work but somehow did. "No," she said, "I don't regret any of it, even the scary parts, especially the scary parts. They made this possible." Victor laced his fingers through hers. "We made this possible. Together." "Together," Lily agreed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over land they owned and gardens they'd grown. In the house behind them, their daughter slept peacefully, unaware of the violence and danger her parents had navigated to give her something better. This was what love looked like, Lily thought. Not the easy kind, not the simple kind, but the kind that required choice and courage and the willingness to grow into people who deserved each other. Victor had been wrong about one thing. Caring wasn't weakness. It was the strongest thing he'd ever done. Strong enough to walk away from power. Strong enough to build something better. Strong enough to choose growth over control, partnership over possession, love over fear. And Lily had been wrong too. She wasn't invisible. She'd never been invisible. She just needed someone to look at her the right way. Not through her, but at her, really at her. Seeing all the complicated, messy, real parts and choosing them anyway. They'd saved each other, in their way. Not from danger or violence or the consequences of their choices, but from the loneliness of living half-lives, from the weight of expectations they'd never agreed to, from the performance of being someone they weren't. They'd saved each other by being real, by being honest, by being brave enough to choose love even when it was terrifying. And that, Lily thought as Victor pulled her closer on the porch swing, was the only kind of love worth having, the kind that required everything and gave back more, the kind that transformed broken people into whole ones, the kind that proved wrong everyone who said it was impossible. They'd built a life together from nothing but stubborn hope and imperfect love. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything.